There it goes. Hello, Twitch. I'm here live with theeerieson, who is going to watch me develop a silly little game, or potentially a scary little game, in Godot engine. We'll get started in about a minute or two. Okay, let's cut to the scene with the cameras. Welcome, theeerieson. We're going to make a game is what's going on. So let's click on the website for Godot engine and see what they have to say. The game engine you've been waiting for. Godot engine is a free all-in-one cross-platform game engine that makes it easy for you to create 2D and 3D games. I'm thinking 2D tonight. Oh, they're on version 4 today. Anyway, download latest. Intel/Apple Silicon. That'll work for me. I'm not going to make a donation today, but I'll think about it tomorrow. Oh, it just dropped it in my downloads folder, all in one piece. That's interesting. So I open Godot.app. Yes, I want to open it. Thank you, Apple. It says, you currently don't have any projects. Would you like to explore official example projects in the asset library? I'm actually going to cancel that. And new project. Users Eric/GDOT. And we're going to call this 2D2D. You say it twice because it's 2D. Create folder. Oh wait, Godot doesn't exist. Will this create the folder? I think that just created. Okay, I need to go create a folder. Oh, they've got Git built in. That's excellent. Forward plus compatible. We'll do that one. Create and edit. So it drops us in to the editor window. It's taking a little bit of a moment to load. And I think what I'm going to do is work halfway from the tutorial demo that I've worked through before, but half make some of my own choices along the way. It's just loading. Oh, and it jumped back over to my other screen for some reason. Okay, I think we just need to let it chill for a second while it thinks about itself. Come on, Godot. Let's go. It really doesn't want me to move the window for some reason. This is perplexing. Can I full screen it? I can full screen it, yes. But I can't seem to move it onto the screen where I want it. There we go. Now it works. Okay. When it opened, it was in 3D mode. I'm going to work in 2D mode. And I'm a little rusty at this, but let's go to the Learn tab. Your first 2D game. I'll skip the introduction and step by step because that's stuff that I've already read. So why start with 2D? Because it's easier, basically. Getting started, we'll skip setting up the project. New project. it creates, so now it's talking about these are the files it creates when it creates a new project. And then it tells you to go to General, Display Window, and set 480 by 720. Where does that live? Project Settings. General Window, was it 480 by 720, I think? So that's our canvas. And I believe if oh, there it is. You can actually see, I believe, our window there. One of these buttons lets me, anyway, you can, here we go, zooming in. Zooming out, maybe not. Also mouse over window, mode, canvas items, aspect keep. Where is mode? There it is. Canvas items, aspect keep. So boring, simple setup. In this player, we'll make 3 independent scenes. A scene is what it sounds like. It's an object in the game engine that can hold different entities in the game. In this project, we'll make 3 independent scenes, player, mob, and heads-up display, which we'll combine into the main scene. In a larger project, okay, that's fine. Other node. With Area 2D, we can detect objects that overlap or run to the player. So we click. To begin, we need to choose a root node for the player object. As a general rule, a scene's root node should reflect the object's desired functionality, what the object is. Click the other node, and then add an Area 2D node to the scene. So other node, Area 2D. I create this, and it's a tiny little thing, but that's okay for now. With Area 2D, it can detect objects that run into the player, so the mobs are going to hit the player, and that's the end of the game. Before we add any children to the player node, we want to make sure we don't accidentally move or resize them by clicking on them. Select the node and click the icon to the right of the lock. Its tooltip says make selected nodes children not selectable. That's this one. Make groups selected nodes. Make selected nodes children not selectable. That's taken care of. Sprite animation. Click on the player node and add Control A child node animated sprite 2D. So this is gonna hold the image. Was it Control or Command A? It says Control, but it might be Command on this one. Yes, definitely. Animated sprite 2D. We'll handle the appearance and animations. Oh, I was supposed to start from a basic setup. So let's actually, I'm gonna grab a, This is what happens when I jump on a scene without planning. I jump on a stream without a plan. Let's actually go into let's go to Asset Library and Pastebin API Wrapper. That's kind of neat. Character recently uploaded. That doesn't look very helpful. Maybe I should back up with the tutorial, or maybe I should. I think I had a game in progress. I feel less prepared. I feel less prepared for this than I thought I would be. Let me look back to let me see where I was supposed to set up the project. Download Dodge the Creeps 2D assets.zip. That's the step I skipped. Because I was trying to rush and, not be boring, but then I walked myself into a corner. So I extract the zip archive, and I copy the art and fonts copy into it exists right here in this Godot project. So I now should be able to go back to 2D, and now we have art. Yes, we have enemy flying. We have player gray up. Okay, we're back in business. Change the node's area 2D. Change the node's name to player by double clicking on it. I think I forgot to do that. Animated sprite 2D requires a sprite's frame resource. Click on the sprite frames property under the animation tab in the inspector and click empty new sprite frame. The sprite frames property under the animation tab in the inspector. So animated sprite in the inspector, animation, sprite frames, empty, and do I do new sprite frames? New sprite frames. Click again to open the sprite frames path. On the left is a list of animations. Click the default one and rename it to walk. Here it is, default walk. Then click add animation button to create a second animation named up. And I believe we add one that's called right as well. Drag the two images named player gray up and player gray up 1 of 2 and player gray walk 1 of 2 into the animation frames side panel for the corresponding animations. Player up 1, player up 2. So nice drag and drop, intuitive. Then we take walk and we drive player walk 2. The player images are a bit too large for the game window, so we need to scale them down. Click on the animated sprite 2D node and set the scale property to 0.5.5. Not speed scale. Node 2D. Transform. Scale 0.5. So it's hard to see because this thing is tiny. And it's weird that when I zoom in, I don't seem to see it anymore. And I do it like this. There we go. That's how I do this. Now you can just barely see the outline of the game. And you can see there's our player sitting right there. That's progress. You can find it in the inspector node. Okay. Finally, add a collision shape 2D as a child of player. This will determine the player's hitbox or the bounds of the collision area. So it's not smart enough to use the image to know where to hit the thing. It needs an additional shape for that. For this character, a capsule shape 2D node gives the best fit. So next to shape, so collision shape 2D as a child of player. I type collision shape 2D as a child of player. So next to the shape in the inspector, click empty, new capsule shape 2D. Empty, new capsule shape 2D. And if I, oops, not that one. I need to zoom in on this one. I think it's going to, oops. I bet it's the transform I need to play with. So scale, oops, wrong one. We'll get it back down to 0.5. Not 0.05, that's a little too small. Collision shape 2D, transform, scale, let's scale it up a little bit. And that looks more or less covering the same area. Finally, add a collision shape 2D, new capsule shape 2D under the two size handles, resize the shape to cover the sprite. When you're finished, your player scene should look like this. Player, animated sprite, collision sprite. Player, animated sprite, collision sprite. We have a character. In the next part, we'll add a script to the player node to move and animate it. This is up to date for Godot 4.1. In this lesson, we'll add movement, animation, and set it up to detect collisions. To do so, we need to add some functionality that we can't get from a built-in node, so we'll add a script. Click the player node and click the attach script button. And this is where player.gd, that'll work. And it gives us some pre-built code to get us started. And we take this code. We already had extends area 2D, but we didn't have these other things, so we paste them in. It keeps track of how fast the player will move, and it keeps track of size of the game window. Using the export keyword on the first variable speed, that's just explaining the details of the code. The ready function is called when a node enters the scene tree, which is a good time to find the size of the game window. So we take that func ready and screen size equals get viewport rect.size. Now we use the process to define what the player will do. Underscore process is called every frame, so we'll use it to update the elements of our game, which we expect will change often. For the player, we need to do the following: check for input, move in the given direction, play the appropriate animation. So we need to check that whether the player is touching a key. For this game, we have 4 direction inputs to check. Input actions are defined in the project settings under input map. Here you can define custom events and assign different keys, mouse events, or other inputs to them. For this game, we will map the arrow keys to the 4 directions. Project settings. Click on the input map tab at the top. And we associate move right with the right arrow button. How was that to be done? Project product settings input map. Input map is up here. I was in the wrong place. Add new action, move right. Do I hit enter? Dead zone 0.5, right or right physical or right Unicode. Okay, got it. That's our move right setting, and we have to we need to assign a key to this action. Click the plus to open the listening for input. Press right on your keyboard, press OK. Repeat these steps to add 3 more mappings, move left. And this is where things get kind of interesting, because I believe if I go into my iTerm and I see I think I just called it Godot. Yeah. And I ls. Yeah, I'm going to check git status, and it's not a git that, so git init. This is some coding magic that I'm taking us through. Git status. .git attributes, .git ignore, player.gd, arts, fonts. I might ignore art. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore art. Initial commit example project. Now I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to do project settings, input map. I'm going to add a new action, and we'll call it move left. It's going to work in a similar way. I'm going to do plus. I'm going to hit that left arrow, hit OK and close. And now bring back the coding magic and say git diff. And in the project.godot file, all of this green text is stuff that the Godot game engine added to the text that defines your game. So it says move left equals with dead zone 0.5, events, object, input event key, resource local to scene false, and a bunch of other settings. Device window ID, alt pressed, shift pressed false, control pressed false, meta pressed false, key code 0, physical key code, blah, blah. And there's that 4194-319. I didn't have to look that up. I didn't have to type that in, but Godot took care of that for me. And all that is set. And if I go back here and do project settings, input map, let's add move up with a plus and with an up arrow and say OK. And let's move down, enter. What did I just do? I think I pushed the wrong button somewhere. Did I just delete all my actions? Oh, I was searching on, I was trying to search by move down instead of creating move down. That's not gonna help very much. Move up. Okay. Move down. Listening for input. Okay, so we've got our listeners, and if I go back to my code magic and git diff, we see there's a move left, a move up, and a move down that have been added. And I can say git add dot git commit -m define input map. And when I do git add dot git commit, what I'm doing is making a snapshot save point along the editing of the text. So if I want to, I can go back in time and say, oh, I really screwed up my game in the last 20 minutes. Let's rewind to where it was 20 minutes ago. And every time I hit git commit, that's like saying save here. And it creates a save file for the code. So git is like an undo button on steroids, because you can have so many different histories, or you can have so many different points in history, and you can even have diverging histories that you then merge back together. For example, if you're working with other programmers. So let's move on. Input map should look like that. Close. You can detect whether a key is pressed using input.is action pressed, which returns true if it's pressed or false if it isn't. So we start with velocity equals vector2.0. Vector2 stands for 2D vector. I can just copy this whole thing. And I'll just read one of these because they're very repetitive. It says, if input.isAction pressed move right, velocity.x plus equals 1. So it takes x velocity and adds 1 to it. And it's going to do that in all the other directions. And this was func process paren delta. All those things are happening. We start by setting velocity to 0, 0. Okay, it's complaining the code. And then there's a fix about if you added +1 in the x and +1 in the y, then your diagonal motion is actually faster than your horizontal motion. So we're going to do a little bit of math to fix that. And where does that get added? Add the following to the bottom of the process function. Make sure it's not indented under the else. Use tab character for indentation instead of space as used before in file. That's annoying that a tab doesn't automatically turn into spaces. What about this? Is that also a tab? Tabs are spaces. Programmers get all upset about that argument. Choosing animations. Now we're going to say if it has an x velocity, we use the walk animation, and if it has a y velocity, we use the up animation. Can I tell it to automatically fix this? What I probably need to do is tell my editor that I want spaces. Godot tabs versus spaces. Converting tabs into spaces automatically. Godot engine. Editor settings. It will open a new window, and on the left, the item text editor with sub-item indentation, text editor indentation. There you can change type from tabs to spaces. Okay, that'll be better. Project settings, general, editor. Wait, where was it? Text editor. Editor settings. Where are editor settings? This is such a boring problem. You know what? We're going to do it the slow, stupid way. Well, those are spaces. We just need to indent these. Okay. That was a little annoying, but we got it fixed. We'll close that. It's talking about booleans, that's fine. When you're sure the movement is working correctly, add this line to the ready so the player will be hidden when the game starts. Play the scene again and check the animations are correct in each of the directions. So now we should be able to actually run the thing and see something happen. No scene has been ever defined. Select when you can change it later in project settings under the application category. That's fine. Player.tscn save. So we just saved that script, and it's taking a while to load because this was the first time. It's taking a long while to load this time. There it goes. Yep, and we have he's too small. but we have a little moving dude on the screen. Suddenly it looks like a game. And the first thing I'm going to do is fix the fact that it's way too small. I don't know. Did I do it to 0.5 or something? Wait, where is the... Is that the whole scene? Oh gosh, it's like way too big. I mean, way too small. That's my whole scene. So player scale 0.5. I guess they were wrong in the documentation when they said that the scale has to be 0.5, because I'm feeling more like 4 or something. Okay. Now let's... What's the hotkey for run, I wonder? Command B. A little too big, but now you can actually see it. So now, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's looking like a game. So now it's choose your own adventure. I can continue developing with the next step of this tutorial. I can kind of improvise and add some horror related themes to it. Or I can deploy the game and you can play it on the internet. I was thinking in the horror theme, this is kind of basic, but raining drops of blood that you have to avoid getting hit with. And I don't know, last a certain amount of time until it stops raining. Or maybe the game just gets rainier and rainier until it's impossible to avoid. That might be the way it works. Oh, I forgot you can change things while the game is running. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so I think what I need to do is add a... What was it? It was a 2D... What type of thing is player? Well, actually, let's do our some more coding magic. Git diff. We've got things with velocity. Oh, this is just the script that I added. That's the only differences. And the config run main scene. So that's all fine. And one thing I don't remember for this tutorial is how to spawn mobs. We haven't made any enemies yet. That's okay because we're going to use Godot's signal functionalities to make it work. Add the following to the top of the script. If you're using GD script, add it after extends area 2D. So we go back to... How do I get to the script view? Player, is it player.tscn? Fonts. Player.gd, that's the one. Okay, got it. Oh, it's up here that I click on script. So it says add to the top of that signal hit. This is going to keep track of whether or not the player has been hit. Select the player node and click the node tab next to the inspector tab to see the list of signals the player can emit. Area 2D to detect the collision. Extends area 2D. Oh, area 2D is somewhere in the inspector. Canvas item node. I think. Oh, I have to click on node. There we go. And we're looking for body has entered body node 2D. Oh, I have to click on the player. There we go. Area 2D. So this is getting kind of deep into programming land, but this is object-oriented with inheritance. And player.gd extends area 2D, and that means that it gets all the stuff that goes along with area 2D. And one of the stuffs that area 2D has is this body entered. I don't know if it's a function or it's called something else. I'm not as familiar with this language. Notice that our custom hit signal is there as well. Since our bodies are going to be rigid body 2D nodes, we want body entered body node 2D signal. The signal will be emitted when the body contacts the player. Click connect, and the connect a signal window appears. We don't need to change any of the settings, so click connect again. Godot will automatically create a function in your player's script. Body entered, body node 2D. You know what would be kind of fun is to make an entire Godot game only by typing things. Because everything that I'm doing gets rendered into text. So there's nothing stopping me from just typing it all out instead of clicking and pointing. But that's for another day. Click connect, and the connect a signal window appears. Connect is down here. Connect a signal window appears. On body entered. Let's see, did I have to do anything there? We don't need to change any of these settings, so click connect again. And here is on body entered function pass. Pass is like just, it doesn't do anything, but if we left the line blank, the computer would get confused. So we put a non-action on that line. Note the green icon indicating that the signal is connected to this function. Add this code to the function. So if this happens, we hide the player. It's so weird how it's like a mix of tabs and spaces. Use space character for intention instead of tabs as used before. Wait, I'm supposed to use tabs? That's really confusing. Okay, now that works. So hit.omit. I don't know what, oh, hit.emit. Oh, we emit the hit signal. And other parts of the game will be able to respond to that signal. Collision shape 2D.set deferred disabled true. I wonder if it talks about what that is. The last piece is to add a function we can call to reset the player when starting a new game. Function start a position, position equals POS, show collision 2D shape.disabled equals false. That's a kind of a double negative thing. Collision disabled equals false. Func start position. Oh no, not again. Use space character for indentation. The player working will work on the enemy in the next lesson. Mob will spawn randomly at the edge of the screen, choose a random direction, and move in a straight line. We'll create a mob scene, which we can then instance to create any number of independent mobs in the game. Click Scene, New Scene from the top menu, and add the following nodes. Rigid Body 2D. Scene, is this the New Scene button? No. Is this the New Scene button? No. Click Scene, New Scene from the, oh, from the top menu. Okay. We choose Rigid Body 2D. Create, and we choose the following: animated sprite, collision shape, visible on screen notifier. Interesting. Add child node, animated sprite, create, collision shape 2D, and a visible, oops, that should not be a child of that. Can I just delete that? Oops. Delete nodes, Delete node collision shape. Yeah, it needs to be a child of this. Oh gosh, I haven't even been watching the... Well, there's no one in the Twitch chat, so whatever. And I need a visible on-screen notifier. On-screen notifier 2D. Okay, we've got that thing. Don't forget to set the children so they can't be selected like you did with the player scene. Children of this in 2D can't be selected. In the rigid body 2D properties, set gravity scale to 0 so the mob will not fall downward. Rigid body, inspector, properties, gravity scale. We'll just set gravity to... Oh, no, not minus 128. That would be flying upwards really fast. So that the mob will not fall downward. In addition, under the collision 2D object, uncheck the 1 inside the mask property. This will ensure the mobs do not collide with each other. Okay. I already forgot which one I was supposed to do that with. Collision object 2D. Mask. Under the collision object 2D. I feel like I'm missing something. Unless it's in the node. Is there something I'm not seeing? Collision shape 2D. And the collision object 2D. Oh. Collision shape versus collision object. Wait, was it collision object? In addition, under the collision object 2D section, so there's collision shape, which maybe was the right thing. Where is the collision object 2D? Search object. Gosh, what am I missing? Oh, in the rigid body 2D properties. Okay, I know my mistake. Collision object 2D. Collision mask 1. It was already set to 1. Oh, we onset 1. Got it. Looking good. Set up the animated stripe 2D like you did for the player. This time we have 3 animations: fly, swim, and walk. We go. This is where it's gonna change. I am going to... I don't know how to draw things in Godot, so let me just see if I can clip art drop of blood. That'll work. Save image as... I'll let it figure out the... It's a JPEG. Hopefully it's okay with that. And now I open up new Godot art blood.jpg. Yep, it's right there. And it's going to look kind of silly because it has a white background and we don't, but I'm going to allow this. Set up the animated sprite 2D. I don't remember how I set it up there. Maybe it's animation. Okay, empty, new sprite frames default. Okay, it's way too big. So transform, like, oops, that's rotation. You can make it rotate all day. Oops. It's like this. That should be about the right size. I don't care about play animation. Scale property. As in the player, add a capsule shape 2D for the collision. Where did that happen? It's probably under collision shape, new capsule shape. Zoom, oops. Use this to zoom way in. And this is going to be messy, but oh well. We set that to about the correct size. And add a script to the mob like this. So we click on rigid body 2D, we add a script. Oh, I should have named it. Well, whatever. Func ready. var mob types equals animated sprite frames dot get animation frames animated sprite frames dot play mob. It's choosing randomly, which is kind of pointless when we only have one thing. But the code's at least gonna work. On visible on-screen notifier, 2D screen exited, queue free. That just means when it leaves the screen, we get rid of it. This completes the mob scene. When the player enemy is ready, in the next part, we'll bring them together in a new scene. We'll make enemies spawn randomly around the game board and move forward, turning our projects into a playable game. So, the main game scene. Now it's time to bring everything we did together in the playable scene. Create a new scene and add a node named main. So, scene, new scene, node. Node is the base object that all the other ones inherit from. And so we're starting with, what is it complaining about now? Oh, func ready shouldn't be defined twice. And here it's complaining about spaces. So I'll fix that. Click the instance button represented by a chain link item and select your player saved player.tscn. So we have, was I supposed to give this a name? Main, yeah. Here goes, oops. Oh, I'm in caps lock. That's why it's doing that. Add instant player.tscn, open. Did the other one not get saved? That's interesting. On saved, we'll just save this as rigidbody2d.tscn, that's fine. Go back to coding magic and commit my changes. Make blood and other things. Now the following nodes as children of main and name them as shown. Timer named mob timer. We had a timer named mob timer. Did I do that right? Yeah. A timer named score timer. Oh wait. A timer create timer is score timer. Timer named to start timer. Start timer. Marker 2D named start position. In addition, set the one-shot property of start timer to on. One shot is on. And set the position of the start position node to 24450. Start position. Where is position? Set the position of the start position node position. There we go. I had to open up transform. 24450. That's our start position. Spawning mode. The main node will be a spawning new mob, so we want them to appear at a random location at the edge of the screen. Add a path 2D named mob path as a child of main. We'll add path 2D as a child of main. And then we look at 2D. Oops, did that wrong. And how do we, you will see some new buttons at the top of the editor. Select the middle one, add point, and draw the path by clicking to add the point at the corners shown. To have the points snap to the grid, make sure to use Snap Grid and use Smart Snap are both selected. These options can be found from the left of the lock button, appearing as a magnet next to some dots, and intersecting lines, respectively. Magnet, lock selected nodes, group selected nodes, path 2D, select the middle one, add point, and draw the path. Where is my, there it is. So I have the raindrop spawning from the top. So I'm only going to do the path along the top of the scene. Close curve. Unless I needed to add a second path. There we go. Close curve. I think that did it. Now that the path is defined, add a path follow 2D node as a child of mob path. And name it path follow 2D. And name it mob spawn location. This node will automatically rotate and follow the path as it moves, so we can use it to select a random position and direction along the path. Your scene should look like this. Main script. Add a script to main. Add these things. At the top of the script, we use export var mob scene packed scene to allow us to choose the mob scene we want to instance. Main script main.gd extends node export. Okay, those things. Click on the main node and you'll see the mob scene property under the script variables. You can assign this property in two ways. Drag mob scene, click the arrow next to empty and choose load. Select mob.tscn. Hold on a second, I need to check. Okay, that's fine. Click the main node and you'll see the mob scene in the script in the inspector under script variables. You can assign this property value to ways. Drag mob.tscn from file system doc and drop it on the mob scene property. We'll do it that way. And we're doing this on the main node, and you'll see the mob scene property in the inspection under script variables. Wait a second. Inspector. Property mob scene. That seems to be it. You can assign this property's value in two ways. Drag mob.tscn from the file system dot and drop it in the mob scene property. Merge value 2d.gd. Oh no, yeah, oh no, .tscn. Wait a second. That didn't work. There, we drop it in there. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to stream. I'm going to go into be right back thing and mute some of these. Okay, hello again, Twitch. I've decided I'm gonna head out of the stream tonight, feeling kind of tired. Got some other things to get to, but I want to say thank you very much, theeerieson, for hanging out and seeing how this works. I think if we do this again, by that next time, I'll have something a little more prepared, and I'll have a game that you can actually try out after I've walked you through the code of it. Thank you, and goodbye, Twitch. I'm going to switch now back to, or I'm going to switch into thanks for watching mode. And goodbye, Twitch.